There's so much to talk to this brother about. He ain't ready yet. Shout out. There go drama. Yeah, red one, that blue. That blue looking very Bahamish.
Thank you, my brother. I
Yo,
can't find the red one.
I got it, but I didn't get the blue. I guess they do shit like that. They only let you find one. You being the DJ drama, thank you for coming on the Big Show. What Bismarck mean to you? You know, I'm sure you have big history with Bismarcky.
Yeah, Biz. I mean, first and foremost, rest in peace to the brother Biz. One, me growing up, like Biz was one of the first pieces of vinyl that I brought that I purchased when I became a DJ. Nobody beats the Biz. I think at the time he had like a greatest hits album out, and it had everything all on there. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that was one of the first pieces of vinyls I bought. I guess this was probably like 92, around the same time that FloJo came out, because that was another first piece of vinyl I bought. We can come back to that. And then the thing about Biz, him being a DJ and him reinventing himself in the DJ world, like he was somebody that very early on and in the 90s and the 2000s that we always watched and looked up to. And I was always amazed by his skill, because Biz was somebody, you would go to one of his parties and he would throw on the Cheers anthem and have the whole crowd singing, sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and just like blow your mind and just go left field with it. I got the opportunity to rock with him a couple times, and he was a godfather of the culture, man. You know what I'm saying? Somebody, we lost too early. I'm humbled that, I got to, share some time with him.
So you grew up in the ATL, like your whole life, born and
Now
raised?
I was born and raised in Philly.
You was born and raised in Philly and then moved down to the ATL.
Born and raised in Philly, moved to Atlanta in the mid 90s to go to college, to go to Clark Atlanta. So when I first started Juice is what inspired me to be a DJ. So that was like 91. So I had just started high school. I had I was in Philly, Germantown. My mom lived in Germantown, Philadelphia, for those who know. And yeah, I remember like my first pieces of vinyl that I ever bought was Super Cat, Ghetto Red Hot, FloJo, Party and Bullshit, was on the B side of the Who's the Man soundtrack. I think Heavy D was the A side. Yeah, and I used to just save my lunch money, and then my mom would give me and go buy records. And so yeah, and make little mixtapes here and there in Philly. And I came up to New York, and my sister brought me to 125th Street, bought my first mixtape, DJ SNS Old School Part 2, and I've been hooked ever since.
And so that's basically what inspired you to get into the mixtape game. And you, in your own right, you definitely top 5 dead or alive mixtapers ever with the Gangsta Grillz. You're probably the only one who turned it into like a Grammy, right? Like,
I think so. I think the only, I'm not sure if Kendrick Lamar's Damn album won a Grammy, then I would
Capri,
assume,
right?
I would assume Capri would also have one as well. But yeah, shout to Tyler. I did bring a Grammy home for a mixtape series. So
this guy's so talented, Tyler, the Creator, and he just was a big fan of Gangsta Grill. You would never know, right? And so how did that come about for y'all to get together and make that project together? Because it's a legendary project.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of Tyler's for some time. I met him very early on when they first came out. I was still on the radio at the time and doing interviews and everything. And when Odd Future came to Atlanta to do a show, I actually went. I went to the show. I did an interview. We met, and he actually like shouted me out at that show and was like, "Yo, shout out to DJ Drama in the building. Like, damn, one day you gotta talk your shit over." Some of our shit, that would be crazy. Mind you, this was 10 years ago, during COVID, you know, I got a text from him like, yo, it's T. I got this idea. Call me. Called him. He said, listen, I'm working on this project. You know, my last album, you know, it was a little left field. I'm back on my rap shit. He actually had taken my vocals from like a random Gangsta Grillz and placed them around the music before I ever even came to the studio.
Just to let you know what it would sound like.
Just to let me know what it would sound like. That's the genius of this guy. He had just took from, and wasn't even one of them ones. It wasn't like a Jeezy tape or a Wayne tape. It was just a random Gangsta Grillz he found on the internet. So when I came to the studio, he started to play me the music. You know, we talked. You know, we vibed and everything. And then I went in and I just like, you know, he approached it different than anybody's ever approached the Gangsta Grillz, you know, and I've done a lot of tapes and I've done a lot of shit talking on tapes and what have you, but he had his own ideas, you know, the way he placed it. I gave him way more material to work with than he even had to use, and it was just like when we were in there working, we knew it was something special. Shout out to my brother Lake, like he was like, yo, we're gonna fuck around and win a Grammy for this. Like, you know, watching him work, you know, he produces his music, you know, it's just like he's a one-man machine, and it's just, you know, his genius is really still, even with his accolades, underappreciated in so many ways when it comes to hip hop and the culture.
Who, when you started Gangsta Grillz, who is the prototype? Who is the first Gangsta Grillz based out of that you collaborated with?
So the first ever like host of Gangsta Grillz was Little John. So hence when you hear the Gangsta Grizzlies, you know, the tag, that was John. John was the first person to ever come host a tape with me. I was really, you know, I was in the South, but I was really studying and following what was going on up top on the East. And, you know, at the time, people were having hosts for tapes and what have you. So John came and hosted a tape for me. It was still kind of like compilations. Then, you know, things were changing. You know, Dipset was putting out full mixtapes with Slay. Who Kid and Fifth were doing full projects, and you know, and I was like, oh, that's what I want to do, you know. So the very first actual Gangsta Grillz that was all one artist, literally that was like a street album, was T.I. And me and Tip had met very early on in his career. He came and did a freestyle for me, like
I met you with T.I.
That's, yeah, you met me because we were all on tour together. You were on Atlantic. You met me with, I was T.I.'s DJ when we met. Yep.
And
yeah,
so that's how I met you. And so the first Gangsta Grillz was T.I.
The first Gangsta Grillz was T.I. The first all one artist, bang, 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 Gangsta Grillz, how we know it today, was Tip. Like that, without Tip, that, you know, the movement would have never turned into what it turned into.
You know what's crazy? I hung out with T.I. last week. He's still crazy. Me and him talk shit for hours. God, special guy. Tip, special guy. We went to dinner together. We had a beautiful time. The marriage between you and Jeezy, right? Because I would say the best Gangsta Grillz tapes is Drama and Jeezy. I remember, because I used to be scared to fly, just driving through the country from New York to LA, bumping that shit 100 times in a row till I'm in the mountains. How did that come about, and how special is it? What is your most special Gangsta Grillz collaborator? Is it Jeezy?
On any given Sunday, I have to say it's between Jeezy and Wayne. The Jeezy came first. So Coach K, I lived in the Fourth Ward. Shout out to Coach K, lived around the corner from me. You know, we were neighbors. He came and said, yo, I got this new artist I'm working with. And I started to make show CDs for him. He was doing shows in Macon. This is before any Gangsta Grillz. And you know, I used to charge him $100 to make show CDs, and I would just put, you know, a couple beats on there. He would freestyle too. They took me to lunch one day, and it was like, yo, Drama, I don't know if you realize how much the streets really fucking with what you're doing. Like, Meech be telling me all the time he goes to the AUC and picks up the Gangsta Grill mixtapes, and I'm like, word, fucking Big Meech is listening to my shit, and they like, yo, the streets is fucking with you. And he said, yo, I got this vision. I want to do this tape with you. Boom, boom, boom. That was the first time anybody ever paid me for a mixtape. They gave me $1,000. We did The Streets Is Watching. That came before Trap or Die. And next thing you know, you couldn't go nowhere in the South and not hear this tape. Like, it was insane.
Bumping that shit everywhere.
By the time we got to Trap or Die, which Trap or Die is really the first mixtape that actually had a release date. So Joe, you remember, you're from the era, like, tapes used to just come out. You would go get them when they would drop. You would hear about them. You would go to the store. Like, we literally had a party set up at Visions nightclub that AG did. January 25th, 2005, Trap or Die dropped, changed my life. I was still on tour with T.I. There was nowhere in the country that I went that I didn't hear my voice in that tape out of niggas' cars or in every hood in every city. It was like unprecedented what it was. And yeah, so the combination of me and Jeezy was like, that was when it was like, I'm here, and those were the years that Mix Your Power Summit was going on. So I was coming out there and
BMF in the flesh.
You feel me?
What was it like being the hottest DJ in Atlanta? One of them, because Greg Street, we got a lot of legends over there, right? But for the streets, the hottest street DJ out there, and BMF, making their movies at the same time. Like, what was that like? Was it like you walk in the club and meet just like, yo, Drum, I gotta talk. What's it like?
Bro, it was a hell of a time, bro. I mean, it's like you had to I don't know if it'll ever be anything like it, I mean, I'm glad to have been in Atlanta, to have witnessed it, to say I've seen it, to have been in a strip club where you literally can't see no floor, you just see money. Like, one of the craziest stories I have is, was I think it was All-Star Weekend, and BMF was Meech and everybody was stuck in traffic on the way to an event, and they had like 20 foreigns back to back, all lined up down the street trying to get to the event. Meech said, yo, everybody, come on, let's go. Leave the cars. We'll go get them. We'll come get them later. Let them tow them. We're walking to the spot, and they left all the cars in the middle of Peachtree and went and got them later.
Oh, that is a moment. I remember Mike Tyson used to do shit like that, but BMF did shit like that.
Respectfully, I remember parties with Puff and Meech, and when and respect the Puff, but the party and when Meech left, that's when Puff left. You know what I mean? Like that's where it was in Atlanta. Like, that's how things were going.
Out there in Atlanta for a bunch of that, but when they came to Miami and we was in Miami,
it was crazy there too.
They was coming to the club on Monday, all white, Bentley convertibles, Lamborghinis, this, that. Tuesday, sky blue, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, trucks, Phantoms. Wednesday, all black, everything. Thursday, I was like, yo, I say, even these guys, and shout out to Terry Flannery, he watches us all the time, but
shout out to my brother T.
Feds, or they're going to jail for a long time. Like, I could not believe this shit. Your man, he came home, the young boy from BMF. The young boy, what's the young boy's
Blue Da Vinci?
Not Blue, the little guy. He was like a baby. He used to be 12 years old with these guys.
Oh, Roscoe Pee-wee. Roscoe Pee-wee. Yeah.
Listen, man, this kid was 12 years old, right? He'd be standing, I pull up to the club in Miami. He'd be standing outside, 12 years old, with like $1 million in diamonds on his neck, right? Biggest watch. He's a baby, right?
Baby.
Pee-wee would say, he'd be like, yo, man, I know you got the juice, Joe. Michi won't let me go inside. I know you can sneak me in the club, Joe. I know you got the juice. I'd be like, yo, Pee-wee, you 12 years old, man. I can't do it in the pool. But my point is, I remember one night I came out the club, pissy drunk. I was drunk. I jumped in the Phantom, and I look, and the kid is talking to me, and for the first time, I really look at him, and I'm like, my God, this kid is 12 years old with $1 million in gym.
He was a kid.
Like, so it finally hit me because I thought he was like one of us, even though he was young. But I was like, what the fuck is this kid doing out here? I see like this. I recently seen him. He came home. He showed me mad love. I love him.
Yeah, shout out to Pee-wee. That's my nigga.
Yo, bro, these are shit you can't make up.
Nah, you can't. Nah, you can't. I mean, I'm just glad I got to really witness and live through the times. Like, you know, I knew then it was a movie in the making. It was like, you know, it was billboards everywhere that said the world is ours. BMF. Like you'd ride through Atlanta.
It kind of broke my heart because I have like idols, guys who used to hustle in the street that, you know, they're known for throwing like a big party, or they're known for driving a couple of fly cars. But these guys are like legends in New York. These guys were wiping their ass with my heroes. Like the shit they was doing, it be their birthday, they got tigers in the club. Everybody in the club got Cristal.
Shout out to Hannah. This was the first.
Yo, bro, you sitting in there, you like, yo, these niggas, they was doing some shit out there.
It was different.
Legend.
It was different.
And the reason I'm bringing that up because that was, even though you just won a Grammy 2 days ago, but that was to me Drum at his prime. That was like, that whole ATL, that's what shifted the universe that time right there. That's what made the ATL the livest shit. Wayne, how did that come about? Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy because it's like after I did Trap or Die, I almost, you know how it is, Joe. You like you get a hit record and you like, fuck, like my shit's on fire. What I'm gonna do next? You know what I'm saying? So you know, around this time, I'm still Tip's DJ. Tip was on the phone with Wayne on the tour bus one day, and I just was like, yo, let me holler at him. Got on the phone with Wayne. You know, we that was the first time we chopped it up. I was like, yo, let's get one in. You know, he was making his Squad Up tapes at the time, and he was familiar with me, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. So he gets to Atlanta. I go to Stankonia and meet him and Cortez, and you know, I just came up with the concept Dedication. You know, not even really thinking of how special or important the name would mean to the series or to Wayne or to what it will become. And we did the first Dedication. I dropped that one right after Trap or Die, and that shit just slowly but surely, I just started to get word back of like how Tune was rapping and how this wasn't the same raps or the same kid that we knew from the Hot Boys. Like his flow was like starting to be compared to Hove. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was like, yo, this is a different type of rap. That's coming. Like they was listening to the Dedication tapes, and I was flooding Canal Street, and you know, next thing I knew, that shit was hot cakes. That's between Trap or Die and Dedication. It was like, it was my back-to-back. I was winning back-to-back trophies in the mixtape world. And so good thing you brought up Canal Street, 125th. Want to stay positive, but you got so big that the boys came and knocked on your door. Yeah, the feds came. The feds came over mixtapes. It's crazy. And like the feds, they came like you was BMF. Yo, they hit me. Joe, I got hit with the RICO. They hit me with over mixtapes. Now, mind you, when they came, you know, and there's a news report that says normally in these situations, we find guns and drugs beyond bootleg CDs, what have you. We didn't find nothing. Thank God they came on a Monday morning, not a 9mm handgun, not a spliff was in the building. All they confiscated was mixtapes, but they said Tyree Simmons, You are being arrested for bootlegging and racketeering under the RICO law. I got out the next day. I called Tip like, yeah, I'm out. He said, have you checked your bank account? I said, what you mean? He said, bro, they hit you with the RICO. I went to my bank account. Mind you, I had 6 figures in there. This was from my first time getting to some real money. That shit said 0.00. I cried like I never cried before, Joe.
No, that's just serious. I know somebody else. They did that to Nori. I remember when they hit me and was like, "Yo, I just looked at my bank account. I had millions, and the shit was gone." They took all my money too, but at least they did it accordingly. Your shit was just zapped, like frozen. That's that. And how scary.
And I thought I was one of the good guys. I was doing mixtape sanctions with the labels, like with the artists. You know what I'm saying? I was getting plaques. I had my record deal with Atlantic Records. I was signed. Ironically, Atlantic called. Julie Greenwald and Mike Kaiser and Craig Kalman called me the next couple of days and said, "Oh my God, we can't pay for this type of publicity. How quick can you get the album done, Drum? Like, we want to put it out as soon as possible." So Billboard put me on the cover of their magazine. Like, it made me more famous and put me in the history books faster than I was already on my way. And I'm gonna be real with you, Joe. Like, go ahead.
How do you get out of that? Because usually when they do that, you going to jail.
Yeah, I mean, they dropped the charges. They tried. What they basically did was they caught me on a law called the True Name Law, which means that when you make a CD, you have to put an address on the back of the CD, which I wasn't doing with the mixtapes. They brought the charges down to a misdemeanor, and they said all the money that was in my bank account, they couldn't decipher which was from mixtapes or which was from whatever else. We're going to keep all your money. We're not going to fine you. We need you and Don Cannon to make a RIAA public service statement saying, hey, we won't sell your music anymore, which we did, but it never came out, and that was the end of it.
Wow. That's history.
It changed the game.
That changed the game. You think other DJs is watching themselves after that?
I know for a fact. I mean, I talked to everybody, every respectfully, Vlad started Vlad TV, K-Slate, got into the magazine business, Clinton Sparks went and did some other things. Like, it was like if they could take Drum down, like, who the fuck is safe? Because at the time I was top of the food chain. So, and I felt guilty, Joe. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I came up on this culture that I watched so many before me, and I studied under, watched Clue and Ron G and SNS and Capri and Who Kid and Green Lantern, and I don't want to miss anybody, and Doo-Wop and Tony Touch, and I was like, I don't want this shit to die on my shoulders. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want this game to end because of a mistake I may have made. So I kept on making mixtapes after that, and the game kept on going, and a whole new generation of artists were still birthed out of mixtapes, and here we are today with playlists on DSPs that are all are all our sons from the mixtape game.